Hey guys, round 2 of the Tate Chronicles right now. I'm Maureen, in case this is the first video you're watching, which if it's not, there's another video, so try that one first. But I talked in the last video about why we went with Tate and why we chose to write what we wrote. This episode is going to be about our starting experience with Tate. From signing through to the editing stage is what I am going to be talking about. Now, in January of 2014, I just had my second kid, my second daughter, and I had been working on getting a sample ready. One I thought was edited well enough to be just looked over, and I only did a sample. I think I just did a couple recipes from each chapter, and there's 6 chapters, so I think that's what I sent out. I don't really remember what exactly I sent out. Oh, sorry. But that is what I sent out. And then Alana Duffel, like I said, was our acquisitions editor at this time. And Rachel Sweden, I kept calling her Sweetie, but that's not her name, it's Sweden. She had come on to get us signed up on March 17th, 2014. And I remember that because it's St. Patrick's Day and I'm Irish, so I actually have a picture of us, the 2 authors signing their author contract. It was a big deal. Now, it's important to note that before we signed this, I was living in Michigan at the time, Mom in Wisconsin, but my friend is a lawyer, and I took him on to be my lawyer in my dealings with Tate even up until this last year, and this I started referring to him in 2014. So I sent the contract off to him. Anytime you are asked to sign a contract, unless you are a lawyer yourself, I would highly recommend having someone look it over. Now, in this case, it didn't work out so well, but based off of the contract alone, what the contract stated, he said it was the most author-friendly contract he had seen. Now, there was one section where it's, I have my contract is all marked on because I went through and I marked up every single breach and the contract. I've got it all right here. And we are going to touch this on another episode. But this section right here, this section where it's the confidentially non-competition agreement, that even to my friend, even to my lawyer, he said, this part doesn't really make sense to me. It's too convoluted. And we had asked Tate about that, and they said, yeah, we understand it doesn't make sense. We are in the process of rewriting it, and the rewrite will apply to you because it will say the same thing. It'll just be clearer. And I reading it over, I had to read it over like 7 different times. And my lawyer did understand it, but it was just worded in such a convoluted way that it just didn't make sense that that's the way they chose to go. So that was the only stipulation he had against it. So we chose to sign it for that reason. So we had our lawyer look it over, we signed the contract, we had our sample out, and then started the payment process. Excuse me, I need to take a drink of my coffee. I have not had nearly enough today, so. By the way, if you are an aspiring writer, you need to know that coffee is your lifeblood. So start slamming that espresso. But we started the process of payment, and we went on the payment plan. I and my mom were fortunate enough to not have to pull money from our savings or from our bank accounts or from somewhere that it didn't exist, but we just made it appear. We were able to raise the money for the $3,990 retainer. But from here on out, I'm just going to say $4,000 because $10, really not that much to fight over. My mom she's 61. She's now 61, but at the time she was 59, and she hadn't been on a vacation since I was in junior high, and at the time I was 28. So it had been a long time since her and my stepdad had gone on vacation. So they had saved up money for years. Maybe 4 or 5 years solidly and routinely to go on the trip across country, literally across country. They're going to take Old Route 66. And because this company decided that they believed in us, they decided they were going to forego their vacation and put their half of the marketing retainer towards Tate. That's what they were going to do. They were going to pull from their vacation fund. Now, for any author, if you've been at your craft long enough and tried to get published long enough, you know how hard it is to get published. Now this was the first publishing company that we submitted anything to, but that doesn't mean I don't know how hard it is to get published. There are authors who will try to get published and they'll send out just numerous amounts of manuscripts out to publishing companies and literary agents, and they'll get rejected and rejected and rejected, and oftentimes rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected again. So for someone to say, I looked at what you wrote, I believe in what you're writing, I believe in what you're doing, and I want you, it's just, even if there is some sense of, maybe this isn't right, you're in such a cloud that you can't imagine why you wouldn't sign with them, because someone said they believed in what you were doing. And if you are a writer, a true blue writer, that is just your passion. You have to write. And so that was the other reason that we signed with them, though we chose to sign with them. We were with, I'm looking at dates here on my form, but when we did our acquisitions, we signed under Alana Duffel, and then almost the moment we signed, like Rachel Sweden is the one who sent us our contracts. I actually have some emails pulled up here. It was, so if I look down, I'm looking at my computer because I have all the emails from every person we've dealt with pulled up. And we had officially, because you couldn't be an official writer, even if you signed the contract, until you had had so much money given into them. So it was on May 22nd that we had all of our money in. So that was when we had officially, when Rachel Sweden sent us the email saying, on behalf of the entire production team at Tate Publishing, allow me to welcome you to the family. We're excited to get started on your book. So it was May 22nd, 2014, when I really started to hammer out our proofs. And what we did also, what I did for my half of the money my mom gave of her vacation fund, we had a vehicle that broke down, my husband and I. And it was in good condition. It just needed one part, and it wasn't enough for us to fix it. I mean, it just wasn't worth it. We had already gotten a new vehicle, so we sold it. And what we didn't make on selling that vehicle, we held a benefit dinner for our book, where we used recipes from our book, and we cooked a dinner, and the people paid for the ticket, and then they could pre-order our book for a lowered price than what we were going to get, or what we assumed we were going to get. So that was where we came up with, with our full retainer amount. Was my parents used money that they had excess of, and then for my half we raised the amount for it. So we were one of the lucky ones. I've heard horror stories of people giving over their life savings, and there was one person who said he would have to sell his truck and he would have to dip into something else, and he was encouraged by a member of Tate Publishing. I'm not going to say who. You can search online for this. There was a screenshot of it on Writer Beware, I think. But he had said, look at how dedicated our authors are to us. I'm blessed to be working with people like this. He encouraged them to give money he didn't have, knowing he didn't have it. And I didn't find that out until just this past month, when I really started to dig and try to find everything I could on what's happening with Tate and what authors are going through. So we were one of the lucky ones in that we didn't have to do that. We were willing to do that either. If we didn't have it, we didn't have it. We weren't going to pull it out from where we needed it, especially since we both have families. So it was official May 22nd, 2014. And that was when I started to go through and really, really hit harder on the manuscript to finally get everything done, because I wrote 90% of the book, and my mom came up with 90% of the, it was about a third and 2/3 each. I came up with a third of the recipes, and then my mom came up with a third of the writing, and then, so it evened out in the end. But I'm the one with the English degree. I'm the one who's edited for, like, my college newspapers, high school newspapers, that kind of thing. So I have editing experience, and I have the degree, and I am the writer. So it was my job to go through and edit everything and put it all together in one comprehensive way. So it took until, I believe, September 28th. I'm going to look that number up right now. It might be, yeah, it was right around September 22nd, actually. Yep, September 22nd, I wanted to confirm that our manuscript was received. So I'm going to stop this episode here, and then we're going to talk about, in the next one, the editing phase of our manuscript on through to receiving our digital and physical proofs. So just to recap, we signed March 17, 2014. Our manuscript was in by September 22nd, 2014. They had received all of our money by May 22nd. That's what it was. They wouldn't officially welcome us to Tate Publishing until they had all of our money. It wasn't half it, all of it. So we signed March 17th. We officially paid all of our marketing retainer by May 22nd, and September 22nd, they received our manuscript. So tune in for episode 3, where we will talk about editing, which was just a super fun experience. So just stay tuned for that if you'd like to hear more. And as always, ask questions, email. I'm open and available.